correct.
No,
Nowhere.
I got a better question.
But where was I?
This was me and you align. That's the reason why I'm like, bro. The reason why a bunch of established Democrats hate me is because when they talk about fascism, they get mad at me pointing out you only cared about fascism when the Republicans was in office. You only that I literally they don't like me because I point out.
I'm asking you this.
People was already
do you
losing
and
their
like Joe
job.
Biden, like I'm just curious. Like I'm seriously curious.
Curious.
Do you and Joe Biden have beef?
Yes.
So why were you smiling with him so intently?
Ooh.
I was smiling for a picture.
Why did you urge people to vote for him?
I was going to vote for him to make sure Donald Trump.
Why did you have how were you even able to get the private?
Hey, did you see the Rolling Stone article of me saying?
It don't matter to me. I'm asking you about something else.
I'm telling you the reason.
What did Joe Biden end up doing at the end of the day, though?
Not get made the way he had to move out the way. Hey, that Rolling Stone.
He didn't move out the way.
Why didn't you consciously? Why don't you continue to support Joe Biden? Shit, because he a Zionist.
Oh,
so
damn, that's cool. Hey, when did Joe Biden said if Israel didn't exist, we would have to invent an Israel? So I don't think that was during his presidency. In fact, let's look it up. Fuck it. June 5th, 1986.
As most of us do, Israel in this body, for apologizing for our support for Israel. There's no apology to be made. None. It is the best $3 billion investment we make. Were there not an Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interest in the region. The United States would have to go out and invent an Israel.
At least he's honest.
I am with my colleagues who are on the floor in the Foreign Relations Committee, and we worry at length about NATO. And we worry about the eastern flank of NATO, Greece and Turkey, and how important it is. They pale by comparison. May I have one more minute, I ask my colleague?
1 more minute to fucking grovel for the Zionist entity. 86. Wow.
So wait, so your red line for Joe Biden wasn't Zionism?
Your
red line for Joe Biden wasn't his history of anti-blackness and the mass incarceration?
I would say this. Me, like many Americans, Zionism is a part of the new way I'm able to understand what's going on in the Middle East. And I'm able to say I didn't understand nearly as much as what I know about Palestine in 2020. And I think that it would be crazy to say that an individual learning more about Zionism and learning who with the Zionist gang and saying that because you was with them at any point in time, you can't never be against Zionism. I think that it's preposterous. Especially able to say that.
My thing is, you repeatedly platform.
No, listen. After I was in Rolling Stone specifically for saying fuck Joe Biden because he a Zionist, I never talked about Joe Biden again. Never engaged Joe Biden again. As a matter of fact,
look at the setup. Look at the setup. Consciously thought he was doing something. Nah, homie. It was a fucking feint. You bit on a fucking feint. Mind you, that feint hurt him because look at the thumbnail. Look how he's smiling from ear to ear to be taking a photo with Joe Biden.
With the Harris campaign?
What?
Did you engage any with the Harris campaign? Did you endorse Kamala Harris?
I endorsed Kamala Harris. Yeah, I said Kamala Harris is better than Donald Trump.
So, okay.
Not the question.
That.
Yeah, not the question.
So, what is the difference between it? Do you recognize Kamala Harris as an extension of the Biden campaign or the Biden administration?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to ask
all of the liberals. This is the reason why. I got into it with all the liberals is that they were mad at me that I pointed out. The reason why this woman lost in many instances is because she continued a lot of those unpopular positions. What you saying though
for the Zionist cheese again?
What?
I'm asking you because now you said you don't support Joe Biden, Joe Biden because he is Zionist, right? Why would you then go to an extension of his administration who said out of her own mouth, I'm not doing anything different than Joe Biden?
Hey, politics is about going from policy to policy. You are able to
different policies that she have from him.
Literally the worst person to make that argument with is Kamala Harris. The worst fucking person to make that argument with, because you get away with that one. You can. Hey, you know what? I really locked in onto this one policy, and for me, that outweighs this and that, whatever. That could go through. But bro, the person that said, I can't think of any differences, I can't think of something I would have done differently than Joe Biden, running Joe Biden's campaign, get the fuck out of here. But yeah, Kamala Harris, worst fucking person to try and run this play with. Like, just stupid, bro.
From policy to policy. You are
What
able
different
to walk
policies
the
did
dog
she
at the
have from
same
him?
time. What I'm telling you is that from the entirety of when the campaign started to when the campaign happened, I'm saying every instance. We needed weapons embargo.
I'm saying though.
I don't understand. So
she's actually on some policy. She's actually worse than Trump. On the border policy, she said she was gonna have thousands more border cops. She said that she went back on fracking, which is harmful for the environment. She said she was going to fund cop cities in excess of millions of dollars.
That is just a preview of what we're getting into. Consciously made a horrible mistake, horrific mistake by having on CJ. We had to combat the Hassan Pikers. We had to combat the Consciously. We had to combat the Sam Cedars. We had to combat the Vanguards. We had to combat the Crystal Balls, the Cal Kalinskis. We had to combat these fucking people because their role is to be counterinsurgent propagandists. Their goal is to harness any radical movement and turn it back into the Democratic Party. That is their role. To make the viewers, people that trust in them, that follow them, believe in the bullshit that the Democratic Party can be redeemed.
I voted for Kamala Harris.
Thank you so much, Aaron Walker, for the super chat. It don't take logic much to expose these DNC ops. So when I was talking to Jared from Millennials Are Kidding Capitalism, that was my whole point of why I kept saying, like, Dr. Ball just asked very simple questions to Norm Finkelstein. Because when somebody's being a little bit of a fraud and the little bit's carrying a lot there, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much pressure for them to fold.
I'll let you start, man. I'll let you start on where the indictment comes from. You seen my content, you know, and you made some criticisms and critiques. You know, this is where this dialogue starts. This dialogue starts with a consciously criticism, consciously critique. So I'm gonna give you the floor where you able to, you know, really articulate specifically what I don't even call it a beef, what your indictment was towards what I do in my content, and then we can start from there.
Yeah, so I'll say this. It most definitely from my end had to, like, it went way further. You know what I'm saying? Because I felt disrespected, but I'll get into that later. So we can start this all with Jasmine.
Look. I love when people are able to put like, they're like, look, you disrespected me. Well, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Right now, there's the first things first, the criticism, the matter at hand, and we'll get to the personal shit later. I like that. You're prioritizing not your feelings, not your emotions, not your ego, but the subject. I appreciate that. And again, for somebody who's supposed to be the younger person in this interaction, right? And by younger, it's usually the stigma of being immature, of being childish, of being not being able to control your emotions, right? We see none of that from CJ.
Jasmine Crockett, the Jasmine Crockett interview. Our views on electoralism may be very different. You know what I'm saying? You may have faith in the system, in the electoral processes of the settler colony. I do not. So this is where the differential in our politics starts. So when I hear the phrase, what can I do to restore faith back in the Democratic Party? The same Democratic Party that is a white supremacist institution. What can I do to restore faith back in the Democratic Party? The same Democratic Party that is a white supremacist institution. And this is where I took issue in which you're trying to compare me to the Democratic Party or Jasmine Crockett by saying you go to a white supremacist institution, you do all this, you do all of that, and you have an iPhone and an app, and it's like, it's the same old argument that I used to use during the Red Scare. You know what I'm saying? And even today, how do you critique society yet you live in it?
Yeah, when I heard about that, I'm like, oh, that is so childish. That is so fucking childish. Again, watch this in its entirety. I'm purposefully not watching the entire thing, but the actual subject is Consciously had an interview with Crockett, and we've been over Jasmine Crockett here. And the concern was from CJ was that Consciously basically said, all right, like, what can you do so that people can trust the Democratic Party again? And CJ's question is like, why the fuck would you want people to go back into the Democratic Party's arms? Why would you encourage that? What is your goal in wanting that? Why even ask that? It makes no sense. I mean, we all understand that is preposterous when we're talking about the Republican Party, right? To ask that of a Republican would be just completely, everyone would recognize it as stupid. And our objective, our project here in combating, these propagandists for the Democratic Party is to make sure that the Democratic Party is seen just as vile as it truly is, but just as Republicans are seen across the board on the so-called left, like center left, liberal, and all that. We need to get those people to recognize that that Democratic Party has just as much blood on their hands. And that's why it's important to combat and push against the propagandists, their modern propagandists, they're all alternative media propagandists like Conscious Lee.
I exist in this society. I'm coerced to have things like an iPhone because of the market and because of the social relations that we find ourselves in. So it's a difference between existing in white supremacy, being complicit in white supremacy, and also perpetuating it on a systemic level. What Jasmine Crockett does is perpetuates it on a systemic level by funding the Zionist project known as Israel. I can get into that because I also know I believe you said that you do not believe she's a Zionist. Can I get that real quick?
Yeah.
So you don't believe she's a Zionist?
I don't think she's a Zionist.
Okay. I believe she's a Zionist.
This is why the conversation with FD was so important. When I mentioned Bernie Sanders, right? And again, just like the Democratic Party is not seen as a racist party, just as Northern racism is normalized, right? You gotta fucking have a hood on and burning a cross in order to be considered a real racist and shit. Apparently, a fucking Nazi tattoo doesn't make you a fucking white supremacist anymore. White people and their standards always changing, always to their convenience. If you are aiding and abetting the Zionist entity, if you are proactively aiding and abetting the Zionist entity, if you want to call yourself a Zionist comprador to feel better, that's fine. But at the end of the day, you're a Zionist, right? If you're aiding and abetting Nazis, you're a Nazi. Oh, you might be like, well, no. I'm not a Nazi, but I support them. I'm not here to add a lot of value into that distinction. When we talking about specifics about what type of Zionist someone might be, I do actually think that there's value in that conversation because we want to dissect it in order to make sure that we don't fall for it. Liberal Zionists like Sam Seder, liberal Zionists like Peter Beinart, they're normalizing the rebranding of what is a Zionist. We've seen Bernie Sanders go from, I remember my childhood and that kibbutz was so beautiful. Just taking that Palestinian lad made me so happy. We've seen him say that and immediately go, but I'm not a Zionist. And that redefining of Zionism by liberal Zionists like Sam Seder, like Peter Beinart, has to be studied in order for us to make sure that we don't fall for it and that we're able to combat it in order to educate other people around us that might be more susceptible to that type of propaganda because it is insidious. I think there's value in that. In terms of compradors wanting to be like, well, I'm not with them, but I'm helping them, that I feel like it's a little less significant or valuable. No, you're with them. You're with them.
So when I see your video, I'm seeing you platform a Zionist. Do you know the track record of Jasmine Crockett?
She don't receive APAC money, but I also know.
Well, fuck APAC Tracker, bro. APAC Tracker, they were on Breaking Points. For me, that's a limited hangout. At best. At best, that's a limited hangout. Here's a little taste to distract you from what's underneath the fucking iceberg, right? So, or the rest of the iceberg. That's a limited hangout at best. to me, AIPAC Tracker has been for a long time. It's felt like controlled opposition. It's felt like controlled opposition because AIPAC, just like apartheid, is not the real issue. If it's not AIPAC, it's going to be some other fucking pack tomorrow. It's going to be another fucking pack.
That ain't the end of the story. You don't got to receive PAC money to be a Zionist. Most Zionists walking the street don't got to get PAC money. You don't got to be a Zionist politician to get PAC money from AIPAC. You can get Zionist finance capital from J Street.
I don't need to defend Jasmine Crockett's politic, and my politic is not an extension of Jasmine Crockett's politic.
But you do this when you platform her and do not challenge her. You don't even do.
No, I think that's where a lot of the misunderstanding happens. If I'm telling her, my audience has lost faith in you, that's the challenge. What do you say to my audience that's lost faith into the Democratic Party?
Bro, I forgot about this part. That's the challenge. What the fuck is she, Tinkerbell? She's fucking Tinkerbell, where you tell her people don't believe in you, and she like starts losing power. She's like, oh no, clap, please believe. What the fuck? That's not a challenge. People don't believe in you is not a challenge. But this isn't fucking Rocky, bro. What are we doing? The challenge would be like, hey, I looked at your voting record. Why are you supporting the Zionist entity? That would be a challenge. Why did you vote this way? That would be a challenge. Not, people have lost hope on the Democratic Party. How do we change that? How the fuck is that a challenge? God damn, bro. You gotta believe, you gotta believe, you gotta believe. The fuck are we doing, bro? He really thinks that he's fucking like, I don't know, does he believe it? Chat, does he really believe that he's fucking doing something? Or is he trying to get us? Is it kayfabe? Is he trying to get us to believe that he believes it? So that way we're critical, but at least we're not calling him a fucking grifter. He might believe it. He might believe it. To be honest, right now I don't know. I don't know whether or not he believes it or whether he wants us to think that he believes it.
That's the challenge. This is a confrontation politic that allows for her to speak to the audience. The idea of she's being platformed, to me, I live in Texas. Where she's from, my family lives there. So she was voted for by my family members.
She's from St. Louis.
Okay. So
Remember
to me, it's like to say that her entirety of this equals that is like that's your business. That's
when she's providing material support to the Zionists, she provided $26 billion with
a
$4 billion Iron Dome spending.
I think that it's important to talk about what I was doing there with Jasmine Crockett and what happened. You see what I'm saying? Me and Jasmine Crockett is talking there, and we meet there because of what Republicans are doing to Black people here in Texas.
What about what Democrats are doing to Black people?
What are Democrats doing to Black people in Texas?
What are Democrats doing to Black people? It doesn't even need to matter about Texas. It's what the Democratic Party is doing as an institution.
But that's
because the Democratic Party, as an institution, functionally, you said this yourself, is not responsive to the Black experience.
I think
the Democratic Party do anything to actually interrogate the anti-Blackness that exists within Texas?
Listen, this is what I'm saying.
They're stripping abortion access.
Politics are inevitable. Politics are inevitable. Politics. I don't believe politics is faithful, or it's gonna make it where it's gonna deconstruct anti-Blackness. I don't think that engaging in politics is gonna make it where the proletariat and bourgeoisie is able. I don't think it's gonna be able to decolonize. I understand that Black people are disproportionately impacted by policy. I understand that what happened yesterday in Texas when they passed all 17 propositions is that Black people are from education, from healthcare to being incarcerated. My family members here in Texas are gonna be impacted by what happened in the electoral. You see what I'm saying? And as a result. You feel
the Democrat is not the elixir to that. That's what you're not understanding, bro.
I think also too, the uniqueness in Texas is in my 34 years of living, Republicans have all had control my entire life.
Same thing here, bro.
So when it comes to state politics, what you're saying is that if Cori Bush says, "Hey, CJ, I'm running," you feel me, to get this seat back, and I want to give the ceasefire, weapons embargo, stop the genocide. You're telling me you're gonna say, Cori Bush, because you're a Democrat, I'm not fucking with you.
I'll tell her get on the ground with us and start organizing because her time is going to be better spent there.
So one thing that I want to highlight is there's a funny portion. I always forget that me and Conscious Lee are like just 2 years apart. That's always interesting. Okay, here's my frustration. I can respect this position if you're not claiming to give a fuck about international politics. I can respect this position if you're just straight up saying, look, I'm just worried about my community. And if I elect somebody who is funding the Zionist entity, but is gaining a better living standard for my community, for my family members, for my relatives, for my friends, for my loved ones, and that's all I care about, if that is your position, I think that's selfish as fuck. But I think at least it's logical. There's logic to it. Hey, I don't think we could change international politics through voting and local elections. So I'm just worried about what they're doing for me and for mine. If that is your position, that's dope. That's cool. Have that position. Be firm in that position. Be proud of that position. However, don't claim to care about international politics. Don't claim to care about the rest of the fucking world. Don't claim to even care about the rest of the fucking nation because you only care about your community. You only care about your district. Own that shit though, but follow it to its logical conclusion. And then it's all good. And then it's fair. But if you're going to claim to give a fuck about people around the world and not care or downplay when somebody's helping and aiding to fund a genocide, then that's a fucking issue.
That's what I'll tell Cori Bush.
You don't think Cori Bush already organized? I think
She still needs to be here because the missions that she's trying to attain are not attainable within the system of electoral politics. All of those ceasefire resolutions sound good on paper, but are they materially being implemented? We see Israel break ceasefires constantly.
That's why I said weapons.
That strategy of trying to ceasefire Israel does not work. So it's null and void when Israel does not adhere to it. What are you like? This is what it is.
Well, no. What?
So one of the issues and frustrations with rat libs who try to downplay people to their left, one of the frustrating parts is they want to claim that we're like delusional, living in a fantasy world. They want to claim all this shit, while at the same time thinking that the US will ever pass an arms embargo. Like, how is that? How are we supposed to respect that shit? How are we supposed to, like, how? How is that more plausible than anything else that we're fucking pushing for, that we're fighting for, that we're organizing for? How? Like, you have to have such a misunderstanding of settler colonialism and the project of Zionism and how it benefits the US, first and foremost, how it benefits the US, to think they're ever going to approve an arms embargo. This is on fucking record, me saying it. Like, that's how confident I am that they're never going to approve an arms embargo. It might be one in name, just like right now we're seeing a ceasefire in name only. But an actual arms embargo is never going to happen. But they want to work towards that. They want to say, no, that's why we have to compromise, because we're working towards that. Because what we're working for is nonsense. It's not reality.
What do you propose we do in terms of getting Israel to stop killing Palestinians? What do you propose as a strategy?
You have to literally have a violent uprising against the state of Israel to discontinue the functioning of the state of Israel. This is something Frantz Fanon talks about. So decolonization. I'm speaking from a decolonial paradigm. Decolonization is always a violent process.
I understand the theory. Remember in my video I talked about
it's not theory when people put it on the praxis as known as the resistance.
So what do you advocate for in terms of getting a weapons embargo and stopping genocide? I'm just trying to be clear.
I'm going to be able to do that. What I'm trying to tell you.
So we should not.
Can I just talk? What I'm going to tell you is you don't even have to necessarily hear my steps. We're live on YouTube, bro. Number one, let's get that straight. Let me get into this. Let me get into this. I can tell you.
That says it all, right? Hey, we're live on YouTube, bro. We're live on our YouTube.
Why the conduit of American electoral politics, the same America that is the parent company of Israel, the same America that has shipped trillions of dollars over there, the same America that has mercenaries in the Zionist state that murder Palestinian children.
That's
When you have American capitalism,
Listen, like everything
the whole
you're saying right now,
beachfront property
you're preaching to
is
the
from
choir.
American imperialism.
Right now, you're preaching to the choir. American imperialism
telling you
is at your
why.
university, at my university, in the Democratic Party, and Republican Party, and local politics, and state politics, and federal
You ain't hearing
politics. So, in what world do you think that you are able to be outside of imperialism? In what world do you think you're able to be outside of the civil society or be outside of the colony? Because I think
we found a new one that's not no longer imperial.
I think the issue here is that Consciously is frustrated because he's like, well, you're talking about fantasy. You're talking about something that isn't real. Whereas CJ is like, no, we had to build that. We had to organize for that because within this paradigm, the structures that are set up, there is no way to succeed, to go down the path, to achieve the goals that you're advocating for, that Consciously is advocating for. There is no path there. There is no way. There is no there. It's a fucking illusion at best. At best, it's an illusion. So in order to actually obtain those goals, you have to start organizing independently. You have to start preparing to be your own fucking people, like your own fucking group, instead of depending on the Settler Colonial Project. But you essentially have to get off the fucking chessboard. You have to get out of the chessboard. You have to stop playing their fucking game. Because the moment that you engage in their game, you're already limiting yourself to what your reality can be and what you can achieve. And you're just playing along. The moment that you're like, no, fuck that, we have to do our own thing, then the reality of being able to stop a genocide becomes possible. I'll give you an example completely unrelated to us and nothing I would ever advocate for. The Palestinian resistance forces knew that the only way to stop the settler colonial Zionist project is not through the voting booth. It's not through compromising with Zionist political parties, but through armed struggle.
You can resist the system while being within it. I think that's what you're foundationally misunderstanding.
Nah, I think what you're misunderstanding is you believe you have the privilege to go into your nice university and learn all the amazing theories.
Bro,
Black people are losing access to higher education. Let me finish.
I'm a nigga from the north
Frank Woodison is a professor at that university. Frank Woodison is a professor at university. The Marxist scholars that you like are professors at that university. What you're telling me is because they sit at a university that's on a settler colony, they go to a publication that's ran by a settler colony, you saying that what they produce is bad?
I did say you're making a lot of ad hominems and logical leaps.
I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you a
no
question. Right now, I think
I can understand. Let me explain.
Yes, this is the equivalent of iPhone. Checkmate. That's the equivalent of iPhone.
No, I can understand that people and there could be thought leaders that exist within a society while also being complicit and critique their complicity in their society. So, for example, I can critique myself having my phone, right? I can look up the supply chain on how I even get my phone in the first place, right?
Yeah, shout out.
I can critique that. So, are you saying that people during enslavement couldn't critique chattel enslavement?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's how they. That's how they got the cotton. That's how they got the clothes.
My argument.
That's how they got the sugar in the tea.
Criticism. That's not what we're saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying criticism is bad. I want to be clear with that. So I'm not saying criticism is bad. I criticize the Democratic Party, and you feel like because I criticize the Democratic Party, this means I should not engage the Democratic Party.
Do you engage with the Republican Party?
You say what?
Do you engage with the?
Yes. Yeah. I live in Texas.
You engage with the Republican Party the same way you engage with the Democratic Party, right?
Listen.
Video, you said this. You would never have Mike Johnson on your platform.
That is false. That's not true. In my video,
you have Mike Johnson on your platform.
I would love to have Mike Johnson on my platform so I can confront him about what he does in his position of power. So you didn't listen to the video.
Why? You're not confronting anything.
But if that's the case, why not confront or have the same fucking energy for Jasmine Crockett? Would he tell, Republicans, people don't believe in you anymore? How can you get them to believe in you again? And call that fucking pushback, call that holding somebody accountable, call that, pressing someone? Of course not. People would say, what the fuck's wrong with you?
You're talking to somebody who chased Cory Booker through the halls of Congress. That's confrontation when you got to run it in elevators. Wait for the elevator door to close. That's
So-
real confrontation. It's
so
not
hold
a,
on,
it's not a nice round table where you're jigging in the video and you're
hold on,
laughing
hold
and
Woo. I will say this, and you know, my apologies if it comes off condescending, but look, I think that if you're doing it in like in the halls of Congress or where like in an actual government building, I don't really think it does much. Now, if you're doing it, and then we've seen that video a lot with AOC being asked why she's not saying the word genocide. If you're doing it like that, where you're disturbing them when they're out and about in their day and they think they could relax and be human beings while voting in an inhumane manner, that I think is funny. And that I think is for sure. Like, yes, get that shit done. But honestly, when you're like in their fucking workplace, it doesn't, you know, it's they don't fucking care. They're going from one meeting to another. They're gonna go take a fucking leave. They're gonna do whatever. But when they think they can enjoy life and not have to deal with any of the consequences or reality of contributing, proactively contributing to atrocities, yeah, you can't let them live normal lives.
that's
So-
real confrontation. It's
so
not
hold
a,
on,
it's not a nice round table where you're jigging in the video and you're
Hold on,
laughing
hold on.
and
Let me
giddy.
just say, so
No.
so in a state that's ran by Republicans, you thought it was gangster to chase the only black woman in there.
No. What are you
That's what you just said, fam.
Where
You
you
said
looking at no black-
you bragging about chasing the only black woman that's
I
in
chased
the-
Ted Cruz
that
too.
line with you.
I chased Ted Cruz too.
The identity politics, weaponization of identity politics. The weaponization of identity politics. And then, like in this scenario, what does it matter? What does it fucking matter? In fact, it might actually make shit worse. It might work against you. To me, that's fucking gross, because taking this approach is aiding and abetting white supremacists when they want to claim that identity politics is this and that. When you use it in this manner, you're proving them correct. When you're using it without integrity, without self-respect, when you're using it to try and, you know, malign someone and stigmatize them and smear them, it's just fucking weird and selfish as fuck.
That fuck Ted Cruz.
He a Republican in Texas, ain't he? I chased him before you did.
No, that's false. That's what. Listen. What does chasing politicians do for black people?
That is accountability. When you confront them face to face and then go back home and
If
then
they're
do your
running from
praxis
you,
and build your community back home.
If they're running
This is
from
where
you,
we're missing it.
If-
CJ don't got no praxis. That's what Lee say. That's what Lee say.
Hey, this right.
DJ ain't got no
Even CJ, hey, right now, you came to me with a beef, right? So this idea that
came
you're
to
trying to
me.
chase a tail where listen, I don't watch
You
your
talking
content.
crazy.
Listen, I don't watch your content. I never said I watch your content. I
How
don't
you know I
know
play
you. I never
soccer?
said I know you.
How you know I play soccer?
You made
If you don't watch me, if you don't interact with me, how you know I play soccer?
So this is the part we're gonna skip just a little bit more.
because once you said something to me, I'm like, who's this young fella?
I ain't say nothing to you about me playing soccer.
No, sir. When you said something to me and you made multiple videos, I want to figure out who
I
is
never
this
talked about
person.
soccer.
So I went to Google and I typed in CJ the Radical. That's what I did.
So you type my information.
We gotta skip. I gotta give y'all a reason to watch this on CJ's channel. You know, when it's a bigger channel, like, hey, we'll eat. You know, we'll watch the whole thing to make sure, give a fair chance. Don't be biased. Don't nitpick. But in this case, man, we got to be pushing and supporting, younger people like this that are pushing back against liberal, rad lib propagandists like Consciously. I think this is the only part where CJ kind of loses it, because why the fuck are you jumping in, bro? Who tagged you in? This who jumps in again for a second time. Consciously needs, he's like, choca la mano. He needs help so fucking bad in this conversation that they got to jump in to try and help him out. So, second time, Consciously's homies had to jump in there to be like, please stop the violence. You know? I'll just play this part right here.
That's fine, bro.
Nigga,
Like,
nigga,
stop trying to say this is not what the people want. This is not like you're trying to overcompensate right now, in which I'm trying to interrogate a critique on why I even made the critique in the first place and why it is misdirected anger back at me because I'm critiquing him for not doing the proper research on a Zionist.
yes,
Let's
that's what I'm saying.
circle
I'm
the
gonna be honest
conversation
with
back
you.
to
I'm
what
gonna be
it's
honest
about.
with you, bro. That's literally that's internet foolishness.
That's not
Like
that's not internet because this is real life. People are dying. People are dying. This is real life. This is not internet.
But you interrogating Lee. Lee doesn't do anything about people dying.
Because that's how he can reshape his praxis to never do it again.
Oh,
To learn how to do research.
This is why I need to include this part. Both of these people, presumably both older, well, for sure, consciously is older than CJ, but I'm assuming Domo is also older than CJ. If he's consciously his homie and from the sound of his voice. So Domo is jumping in for the second time to say, hey, nobody wants to hear this petty stuff. And CJ's like, no. I'm interrogating consciously, presses in this space and how he operates. In other words, how he contributes to the normalization of liberal Zionism, how he contributes to the normalization of the support for the Democratic Party, how he's a propagandist for the liberal establishment. And that's why he's promoted. That's why he has the opportunity. Once you make it to the fucking White House, when you're able to take a fucking selfie with Joe Biden, you're compromised through and fucking through. No question about it. And so CJ's trying to do him the fucking favor of saying, hey, let's pull back the layers and analyze why you're in this situation, why you made the mistake, believing. And he's young, so I think very naively, respectfully, that consciously isn't in on it already. That he's bought in, bro. He's bought into this shit already. You'll never get him to change his mind because this is how he makes his money. This is how he's famous, right? But you still have to make the effort, and I respect it, in order to demonstrate to his audience and to his viewers and, honestly, like younger people coming up, that this man's a fucking fraud. That he's a fucking liberal, propagandist. And you see it when he says, hey, no, this isn't just petty fucking internet shit. I mean, some of it was because egos and, it is what it is. That's just reality. But for the most part, the criticism, Domo wanted them to talk about strictly the political figures. CJ's like, no, I'm here to critique you as a propagandist. So that you don't do this shit again. Or at least so you don't have the excuse of, I didn't know. And look at fucking consciously egotistical narcissist reaction to the idea that CJ could teach him something that will improve him.
That's how he can reshape his praxis to never do it again.
To
learn how to do research into how people are complicit in Zionism. Like,
and
before you even want to talk about collaborating.
And they're both laughing and mocking the idea that CJ is presenting that, hey, if we go over how you failed to conduct a proper interview from the left of Jasmine Crockett, you won't repeat it later. You won't repeat it later. You'll do better next time. Or at least you won't have the excuse of like, oh, that was pushback apparently. Pushback apparently is, Tinkerbell, why have people lost hope in you? Why don't they believe? It's so fucking disrespectful. And look, when I was younger, I never really hung out with older people because this is always them, bro. Like, and this is why, like, at my ripe age of 31, I listen to people younger than me, even if they're not educated, even if they're not well informed. I fucking listen. That's part of the deal of getting older, is to listen. Make no mistake, consciously did not invite CJ here to listen to him. He brought him here in hopes of, one, out debating him, couldn't do that. Two, to lure him in to the fucking liberal propagandist web. For me, when I see this type of behavior, this type of shit, it is like groomer media behavior. I'm going to groom you so that you're less radical and that you play the fucking game that I'm winning in. It's disturbing. It's uncomfortable, but that's the reality. Or if you can't manage to do that, then you stigmatize them as crazy, because the original title that consciously put on this conversation, let me put up my history real quick, is something like, what the hell is CJ even saying? And it's like, bro, like, are you fucking serious, bro? Oh shit. Like it's so like crazy making, they call it. From memory, consciously titled, what is even CJ trying to say? Or what is he even saying? Like, what is CJ even saying? Or something like that. And that's crazy making someone. So yeah, he tried to crazy make them. If you can't get them on your team, if you can't compromise them, then you're like, oh no, that was off the wall. You can't even talk to him. You can't. He doesn't listen to logic or reason. And so yeah, I just please watch it in its entirety. We got a little bit more to watch here. We're gonna go ahead and skip to. There's a little bit more here, but it's after this fucking weirdo leaves Domo. All right, here we go. We'll go here.
You did that interview.
I did. I don't need to.
Oh, here.
Why didn't you do the proper research into Jasmine Crockett before you did that interview?
Is that so much to fucking ask? You have a large platform. And we're talking identity politics. You're one of the rare black figures on the so-called left space, and you have the attention of a lot of fucking people. You're viewed as someone that is legitimate. People trust in you. You would think that you would do your research on the people that you're interviewing, so that you can actually challenge them and not give them a fluff interview, unless that is your objective, unless that is the role that you are meant to play, the role that you've accepted. Because, come on. What happens to consciously if he actually starts asking difficult questions, like real difficult questions, and follow-up questions?
I did. I don't need to justify asking her why people got into lost credit in the Democratic Party. As a matter of fact, I think
So,
her being implicit with it, her being.
I'm gonna ask you this question too. Lee, what is your politic? Like,
I don't need to justify myself to anyone. I mean, yeah, technically you don't, but you have a platform and you're here to fucking debate about it. So you kind of do, or just say, I'm too much of a fucking coward to acknowledge the fact that I'm lazy, that I'm compromised, that I'm a comprador, that I'm complicit in liberal propaganda. You could just fucking do that. Again, we respect honesty around here. We appreciate it. It's fucking refreshing. Say, I fucking bought in. Just admit it. It's cool. Está difícil. You got bills to pay. You got rent. You got fucking food to put on the table. I don't know if he has children or not. You got kids. All that shit. But wear the badge of a fucking vendido proud. Because believe it or not many can pull it off. And not for the long run either. There's an expiration date on this. You look at someone like Candace Owens and you're like, I don't know how you managed to make it this far, but fuck, you're doing something right. You look at somebody like Nick Fuentes and you're like, damn, bro, like, you're committed to the fucking bit and you've been able to revive and become relevant again and again. Asmongold is talking about having an interview with Nick Fuentes. For those of you that don't know, Asmongold is like one of the biggest streamers on Twitch. And Nick Fuentes, like, what, a year ago was like shunned from all media? All right. But, you know, like, do your fucking thing. I'd rather that than hear fucking Hassan Piker cry about my trip to China isn't going viral. Fucking pathetic, bro.
what is your actual politic? Like, what other than leftist? What do you call yourself?
I'm a Pan-African independent person that believes
You're a Pan-African independent person,
Yeah.
right? Do you realize the history of the Democratic Party? Do you believe the Democratic Party has done the necessary steps to interrogate their anti-blackness and the foundation that is built on? Yes or no?
No.
No. So what is the purpose of you going to ask them how to restore black people's faith in a system, in an institution that has historically abused us in the millions,
I think
here
that
and in Africa and in the Caribbean?
right now,
I'm sorry to laugh at this because he's making a serious point, but it's so fucking ridiculous. It's so fucking ridiculous to even have to ask someone that claims to be on the left, that claims to be a Pan-African? Why are you trying to rehabilitate the Democratic fucking Party? Why is the question, how do you earn our trust, even in your fucking mind, if this is truly who you are? Again, if you're like, I don't give a fuck about anyone else outside of my family and my community, then it all makes fucking perfect sense. And I can't, like, I could criticize that. And I could say, hey, you should be a little bit more international or a little bit, at least national in your fucking worldview. But we got one life to live and you're just trying to protect yours and your own. It's understandable. And in some way, respectable to say, fuck everyone else. I want to make sure that me and mine are safe. All right, cool. A little cold-blooded, a little selfish, but hey, at least it's not as bad as saying, fuck everyone. It's just, I'm out for me and myself. At least it's better than that.
Now you're doing one of the great fallacies that happened when I was.
I'm not doing a
Oh
fallacy.
my
I'm
God.
here faith in a system, in an institution that has historically abused us in the millions.
I think
Here
that
and in Africa and in the Caribbean.
right now you're doing one of the great fallacies that happened when I was.
I'm not doing a fallacy. I'm laying the roadmap, bro. I'm laying the road.
One of the great fallacies. Ah, the legends, the tales of great fallacies. Felicius himself. Who calls him one of the great fallacies, bro? What the fuck? I hate this debate shit, bro. I hate it. The worst is when you get stuck on definitions. Oh, fuck. Yo, nightmares. Oh, trying to argue and defining words. I'm like, bro, like, just fucking get to. Anyway, sorry. Flashbacks.
Roadmap.
Hey, listen, in this roadmap, you are trying to assume a lot of intent.
I'm
I asked
saying
a question that
you have to be thinking about these things if you're going to be an organizer for black people.
you are trying to dictate my intent. My intent with talking to Jasmine Crockett was specifically about, hey, we lost faith in y'all. We lost faith in y'all. What is your response to us that's lost faith in y'all?
Are you going to ask that to a Republican?
You said what?
Are you going to ask that to a Republican? Because at one point in time, black people disproportionately go to Republicans. So would you ask that same thing to a Republican?
I think that
Imagine asking a Republican, hey, where do you guys go wrong? And, you know, how can we get back on track to really live up to the spirit of Lincoln? Again, shout out our favorite, blandest, uncharismatic member of Wonder Bread Tube. Emma Vigeland was talking about that she would write like that. That her favorite fucking president was Abraham Lincoln. Oh yeah, bro. Oh really? You're on a fucking black platform and your favorite president is Abraham Lincoln? Oh my fucking god. Yeah, bro. Oh man. No, my favorite UFC fighter is Royce Gracie. Bro, like, what do you fucking... Yeah. Anywho, so fucking pathetic. And maybe it was, but that's not something to brag about either. That's not something to brag about, bro. I shamelessly, like, not shamelessly, shamefully. I'm shameless, but I have, you know. Talk about Teddy. Teddy was my favorite president because I was like, oh, cool. He does fucking judo. He boxes and he fucking cares about the environment, national parks. Like, that's fucking dope. That's cool. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, he's like god awful. He's one of the worst. If you ever get the chance to purchase, you know, whatever criticisms of Howard Zinn's book, I think the graphic or the graphic novelization of Howard Zinn's A People's History, I think it's such a great work for like kids. In fact, I think I might pick some up and I don't do Christmas. I don't celebrate Christmas, but you could always trick a kid into reading something if you give it to them during Christmas. Because, you know, you get the wrapping done right, like, oh my gosh, who got you? You know, you do the whole thing, you really play it up. And like, oh, you know, depending on where they're at, you could be like, I think Santa really wants you to read that book. You know? And, you know, their eyes fucking, oh, really? Yeah. I'm like, yeah. And look, it has pictures and boom. trick them into start questioning, what they're being force fed in school.
Like what? Like, yes, I would ask that to Republicans. But right now, I think that the
Oh wait,
unique
you'll
stuff that's
add
going on-
what is the purpose of you doing that?
the purpose of me doing that is to literally engage politics. Literally being.
Why are you trying to engage with
Hey.
the politics of a colonizer? It's a logical politic.
This is crazy. Hey, listen.
So, okay, this part, it's tricky because, like I said, like I'll do the practical work. And but that's what radicalizes me. And I do the practical work because I want to, I believe in praying with your feet. And we don't have a vanguard organization. We don't have a vanguard party. I don't believe in adventurism. So I'm trying to stay proactive. I'm trying not to be a hypocrite. And also, it's kind of cool to be able to, I'm going to be honest. It's kind of cool to be able to throw it in these liberals' faces to be like, because their critique is always like, well, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm fucking, whatever. It riles me up. But then you throw it in their face and they're like, oh, okay, well, like what? It's dumb shit. Because they can't defend it. So they get personal with it. And, man. The conversation about how much we should engage with the Settler Colonial Project. And I was talking to Jared from Millennials about this in regards to Omar and the West Bank and Mamdani. It's a deeper fucking conversation. I think it would be a dope conversation to have. I'll definitely something that I would want to ask CJ, especially when we factor in New Africans as an internal colony. Because once you acknowledge that and add that variable to it, it's like, what is the point of engaging at all in that sense? It's a complicated fucking question that kind of like, it leaves you uncomfortable. Because fundamentally, blood in my eye, there's only one fucking answer that it leads you to. Peace, Larry Beal.
Colonialism, the colonizer is inevitable. Politics are inevitable. The question is, when do you engage?
Politics is the nonviolent continuation.
Sorry, we'll go back to this right now. Lynn Stacks, when you disillusion people in these institutions, sometimes they don't get radicalized. They just get nihilists, and that's the worst place for them to be. So that is brought up. That is brought up later. Again, I encourage y'all to watch this in its entirety. I'm not doing it justice. I'm trying to give you the spark notes because I really do want to see CJ's channel grow. That is brought up. The nihilism is brought up. But it's brought up, like, consciously kind of throws it at CJ, like that he's a nihilist or that he's falling into nihilism, which from what I've seen from CJ, his social media stuff and like actually communicating with him directly, that is the furthest, like, I don't get any of that. I also want to talk to him about Afro-pessimism because I feel like, I've talked about my critiques of Afro-pessimism, but understanding of it, and I think it's honestly like makes perfect fucking sense especially when you're outside of the Black community and you actually hear and grow up around those anti-Black conversations. And mind you, my childhood wasn't even really, that wasn't much of a factor even to begin with because it was just brown all around. But even then, you still hear certain things. And that is bad enough to be like, oh, yeah. If not Afro-pessimism, some form of it for sure.
Of the colonialism.
Politics are inevitable. The question is, when do you engage?
Politics is the nonviolent continuation of the colonialism, which results in violent warfare.
Listen. The end result was to make it this. Donald Trump called down to Texas and said, I need 5 congressional seats away from Black districts in order for me to maintain my federal power. The reason why we were down in Texas and Austin was to oppose the congressional power that Donald Trump was trying to extract from Black people. You making all these
what protection mechanisms I'm going to ask you did the Democrats have?
I'm answering the question. And me engaging Jasmine Crockett was about the opposition to congressional power that Black people were losing. So when
Democrats successfully, I'm going to ask you this. Are Democrats successfully opposing Trump as we speak?
Listen.
As SNAP gets cut, as the genocide in Gaza goes on.
I am not a Democrat. I am not.
I simply do propaganda for the Democrats, but I am not a Democrat. I simply give tongue baths to Democratic politicians, but I am not a Democrat. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. And again, not Jasmine Crockett. I'm just mocking the.
I'm asking
I
you,
don't need
bro.
to.
I'm asking you this. What is the Democratic Party doing to nullify the harm reduction?
All right. Let's wrap this up.
Does not work because the Democratic Party has no protection mechanisms against anything that the Republican Party does. Have you ever heard of the ratchet effect?
What's your argument?
I'm saying Democrats block progress to the left. Republicans move it to the right.
Yes.
Well, you'll agree with that, right?
Did it not look like he didn't know what the ratchet effect was? Look, I get it. You come off condescending to ask, do you know what this is? I understand that. But it's part of communicating. It just is. And if you're doing it in good faith, you just answer it quick. Yes, I know what it is. And then the person can move on. And it's shorthand. Do I need to explain this or can we move forward? Can we skip over it? Boom. When somebody goes, when you're asked a direct question, do you know what this is? And you're like, just get to the point. Usually it signals that you're too insecure to admit that you don't know what something is. And you're hoping to use context clues of whatever their point is to inform yourself on what that word meant or what that phrase is. Again, you can call me paranoid, whatever, but you do this. And I'm not even talking to streaming stuff. Like in person long enough, you pick up on like, oh, the ego. That's the roadblock here. It's the ego for sure. I see it.
Yes, I agree with the overtune.
So if you I'm going to ask
So
you
watch,
this.
just watch.
Just move it to the
Does
right.
it not look like he doesn't know what it is? Watch. Watch.
I'm saying
Sorry.
that the Republican Party does. Have
Right
you
here,
ever heard
look.
of the ratchet effect?
What's your argument?
I'm saying Democrats block progress to the left. Republicans move it to the right.
Yes.
He says, "What's your argument?" And then he explains what the ratchet effect is, and he says, "Oh yeah, ratchet effect, yeah. No, totally. I'm being petty, but come on. But just look at his face. I know I'm being fucking annoying, but just look at his face.
Against anything that the Republican Party does. Have you ever heard of the ratchet effect?
Have you ever heard of the ratchet effect? And again, he probably does know it. I'm just being annoying and stupid, but he probably does know it. But it just looks like he doesn't. It just look, and I think it's funny. Just look at him. I think now I do need to check something out. Yeah. Ah, man. Okay, just look at it. Just look at this. Look at his face.
I'm saying Democrats block progress to the left. Republicans move it to the right.
Yes.
Well, you'll agree.
As soon as he explains it, he goes, "Oh yeah, of course. The ratchet effects. Yes. From Sir Ratchet himself." Aye. Shit. Let's start it again.
Agree with that, right?
Yes, I agree with the overtune.
So if you I'm going to ask you this: why would I put myself in the camp of the Democratic Party,
I'm not
knowing they block progress? If I'm a leftist, what system do you want? What is the economic mode of production? What do you want? Because you're a Pan-Africanist independent. What system are you trying to create?
For black people?
What system for black people are you trying to create?
The end product where black people are able to use our power to create a new system that is not limited to the ways that Europeans have created socialism and Marxism. I think that the way black independence.
So you don't believe it is adaptable to our conditions? You don't believe that?
Say what?
You don't believe that things like socialism are adaptable to the black condition?
I think that socialism has I think that Marxism's criticism about capitalism is one that structures accumulation and alienation. And I agree with Afro-pessimism that says that black subjectivity is about accumulation and fungibility. So I think that when it comes to the black body and when it comes to black independence, I think that it's important to always think about how can we celebrate social life within social death, or how can we think about the ways that we can have that unparadigmatic flinching that allows for us to quote unquote burn down a civilization. So what I know is
are you familiar with the works of people like Cedric Robinson and Walter Rodney?
Yes.
So if you understand that they were able to largely reject the notions of European or Eurocentric Marxism and apply these to the conditions of black people, use things like dialectics, materialism, historical materialism, use concepts from Marxism.
I think that Afro.
If they were able to analyze the dialectics of it all.
This is a man, like just And again, y'all know that I really don't engage in theory. If you saw my conversation with Jared on Millennials Are Killing Capitalism, I explain why. I prefer having conversations about theory like in good faith, off stream, and just learning from each other. But I think this is something that I'm interested to ask CJ. Is he doesn't identify as a communist, as a Marxist, from my understanding of this conversation. Is he, does he use certain Marxist or scientific socialist, what have you? What does he take from it is what I'm interested in learning. Especially because, and again, he's so young that, the sky's the limit or whatever cliche you want to use. But I do think it would be dope, because this is the way I think as I get older. It's like, put it on paper, put it on wax, put it on stream, put it on video, whatever the fuck. So that in the future you can look back and be like, oh damn, that is the way I used to think. Or you can say, oh, like I progressed in this way or whatever. I think that's valuable. But also I'm just in my head.
Because what you have to understand is, within a radical tradition, you have extremely radical people who have probably did more than the both of us.
I agree.
Who are able to adapt. They were able to analyze the material conditions around them, and adapt it to fight a protracted self-sufficient self-defense against the state that is attacking them, whether it's Democrat and Republican. I believe instead of us wasting our time with a white supremacist institution, we are better off doing those means of organization, those means of energy that's better put back in the community, because we know that the Democratic Party is not a vehicle of Black liberation. This is what this is the differential in our politics. You believe you can reform the Democrat and Republican. You believe you can talk to the Democrat and Republican.
No,
I know that the Democrat and Republican are diametrically opposed to my material interests.
Nah,
This is why, like, consciously doesn't make any fucking sense. Because he's gonna deny believing that you can reform the Democratic Party, and yet he pushes the Democratic Party as if it can be reformed. Why are you engaging with the Democratic Party to this level? Why are you so intimate with them if you don't believe they can be reformed? Why are you wasting not just your time, but everybody else's time who listens to you by continuing to prop them up? It doesn't make, like, your actions are not lining up with what you claim to believe in.
Listen. I think that reform is a bankrupt attempt to try to bring back civil society. I'm not a reformist. And I think that the way I'm not a reformist. I don't believe that bringing back America or making America great or being able to make the system work better will liberate Black people.
Do you?
I do not think hold on, be clear. I don't think the Democratic Party will liberate Black people. I think the Democratic Party is structured by anti-Blackness. The word is structured by anti-Blackness. When I'm engaging with Democrats, I'm not endorsing Democrats, rocking with Democrats. I'm thinking about the way in which my mama, my daddy is over-sentenced here in Texas, and thinking about the various ways how people oppose that. And right now on Tuesday, me opposing Democrats and opposing the way that my people here, that's what we're doing. You see what I'm saying?
That's not how it works in practice.
That's the frustrating part. What have I been saying? If you want to say I only give a fuck about my family, my people, my community, cool. But that's not the way that you carry yourself. That's not what you're known for. That's not what you're known for. And that's not what you're also. Then in that case, then you do support reform. Because if you didn't, then you would be advocating for a vanguard party or what have you. Now. Yeah, I do love that Kwame Ture quote. That is crazy. Cloud, it's like he gets it, then forgets the end of the month is coming up and backtracks. Yeah. And gets back in line. All right, let's just jump over here.
Politics is inevitable. So you don't need to believe.
Recognize it's a systemic issue. Donnie is a Zionist.
Oh, here we go.
He's a Democrat.
I
got a lot to say about Zoran. He's a Zionist too. Yeah. Zoran Mamdani is a Zionist. Said Israel has a right to exist. He's condemned the resistance. He's in with J Street, the J Street PAC, which is the same PAC that funds Bernie and AOC. It's the same Zoran Mamdani that just went to Dubai in the midst of
that part, bro. I was talking to FD. I don't know if he'll put it up he'll include it in the section, but like Nobody talks about Mamdani going to Dubai for his wedding. Because everybody thinks about Mamdani's wedding as a Subway shit. Because that was a cute little photo op. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, they're so humble. Oh my goodness. Right? So this got, and you saw the Orientalism with it. Like, it was just super, super fucking creepy. But then it's like, then you see this. And you're like, holy shit, you guys went to Dubai? The UAE? While they're committing a genocide? Wow, okay, bro. That's cool. I guess the subway wasn't enough. Wasn't enough there. Maybe he had a third one in Uganda. Oh yeah. I mean, a wedding abroad in any sense is expensive.
Sudanese and AOC is the same Zohran Mamdani that just went to Dubai in the midst of the Sudanese genocide. So we can see that largely Zohran Mamdani does not care about black life or doing anything. He's not serious about it if he's running for this electoral process. He does not have a dedication to it as much as some other freedom fighters and liberation leaders have. So when we recognize that Zohran Mamdani
outside of my race
is a Zionist, and you just reaffirm the Zionism by voting the Zionists into the Zionist system, you can recognize that mostly the thing, you can recognize Cuomo is not going to win.
What, bro? CJ did not know my content. I did not know CJ's content. The shit like this is affirming. Where, as the very least, I'm not the only fucking patient in here. You know what I mean? You all are. And that was, again, I hope FD includes it in the conversation. I don't know what he's gonna edit out, and there's some stuff that he definitely should edit out. But it's like, bro, like, it's a setup. Of course he's gonna win. This is a new generation. What do you think the beast doesn't recognize that it's got to get rid of the old and implant new fucking fresh blood in there? Of course it does. Why are we acting like we're ahead of the fucking game here? No, they are. We're behind the fucking ball. We've been behind the 8 ball for fucking decades because of COINTELPRO, because of the FBI, because of the state. Oh, thank you so much.
Like, if we're gonna colonize them, then let's actually show solidarity. God damn it!
First member, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. First YouTube member, much appreciation. And first time that alert gets activated. I hope y'all like it. Oh man, thank you so much. Somebody mentioned that his wife has. Look, respectfully, I've never heard that before, that Mamdani's wife has family in Dubai. Oh, you guys are reacting to the alert. Look, only the best. Yeah. Man. Only the best alerts for y'all. No, nobody called out Emma Vigeland for that shit. It's normal. It's solidarity. That's what solidarity looks like. Oh man. Oh no, man. So I totally forgot. Okay, if she has family in Dubai, maybe you get away with it if it's immediate family. Like, I need abuelita, an uncle, and an aunt at least over there.
Anybody can see that clear as day. They lobbed up the seat to Zohran on a silver platter, but Zohran had to make
you don't get credit for beating an old fucking, like, washed up fighter like that, bro. You don't. Cuomo had been run out of fucking town. Same shit with Alejandro Ocasio-Cortez. You think, and again, I say this respectfully because we have to understand that, you know, the aesthetics and beauty privilege and all pretty privilege, all that shit plays a huge role in it. Kennedy proved that. People that listened to the debate on the radio thought Nixon won. People who saw it thought that Kennedy. It's just part of the fucking game. You're gonna tell me that somebody who looks like, talks like, carried themselves back then, like Alejandra Ocasio-Cortez, was gonna lose to Crowley, who looks like your fucking substitute teacher? Get the fuck out of here, bro. Stop with the shit. Cuomo's not gonna win. He got ran out, and they're like, hey, we need you one more time to be a punching bag. Put me in, coach. You know, that fucking shit. You're a fucking bum, Rock. You know what I mean? Like, god damn. Let's look at Crowley, bro. Let's look at Crowley. Oh my goodness. Joseph Crowley is his first name? That's funny. Look at this fool, bro. Oh, am I thinking Crowley for the... Oh, hold on. What the fuck am I tripping out? I'm tripping out. Hold on. Let's see here. Look at this shit. 2018. Are you fucking kidding me, bro? Stop. Am I objectifying Alejandra Ocasio-Cortez right now? You can make that argument if you want. What I'm getting at is the aesthetics that are involved in politics, especially how fucking dumbed down our politics are undeniable. At face value alone, quite literally, the face card. You think she was gonna lose to this in fucking New York? What are we doing here, bro? But all right. And he fucked up by not showing up to the debate because it looks like he's snubbing a marginalized woman, you know? So at the time was seen as a working class, all this shit like that. Come on, bro. But you know, I'm a machista, so it is what it is. All right.
A few capitulations. Zoran Mamdani is not attacking the NYPD's budget. Why is he not doing that? Before the big beautiful bill passed, the NYPD was funded more than ICE, in excess of the billions. Why? I'm asking Zoran Mamdani, why aren't you attacking? If you're really a friend of the liberation struggle, why aren't you trying to dismantle the NYPD? Why are you saying the head count is the same? Why is Zoran Mamdani saying that he would rather cut the Department of Education in NYC before he cuts the police? Why is he apologizing for calling the NYPD a racist and homophobic institution, in which we know that is? The same NYPD that just killed Sanaya Cheatham, the same NYPD that killed Eric Gardner, the same NYPD that drove Khalif Browder insane.
And I think that's a great spot to leave it off on, to encourage all of you to go watch this, to go support CJ. Watch it in its entirety. Go subscribe. Go hit the like for CJ. Go support. We really do need more voices like him. To be honest, what I'm predicting is, as much as I want him to stay, you know, online, I think when you're that young, you got that much energy. One, you could do it all for sure. But yeah, like, he's already organizing in a way that I wish I would have at that age. Thank you, Lana, for dropping the link. If you haven't already, hit the like, hit the notification bell if you want to know when I go live. The Patreon is active. Thank you so much for the super chat.
Kamala Harris, you got problem?
Drums of Liberation. Thought you were exaggerating about CJ cooking leaf, but this is wild. It's worse. I skipped a lot of it. Please go watch it. Please do yourself a favor. Throw that shit on. It's a good fucking time. CJ just does an amazing job, and I can't wait to have a conversation with him. So, you know, shout out to CJ. Doing a great job. Consciously, you were smart for deleting that shit. I mean, god damn, bro. God damn. With that, I appreciate y'all. I miss doing this. Gonna start working on, we're gonna eat first and then start working on the Graham Plattner video. I mean, we got time, but I do want to knock it out. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for the support, the super chats, all the Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. Con eso, remember what Glenn Ford, I was gonna say John Trudell. I should have a John Trudell quote as well, not gonna lie. It pays to be paranoid. There you go. Glenn Ford said, organize with eyes wide open. Yes, dude.